Welcome back to the men's singles quarterfinals here at the 2015 U.S. Open in Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Sean O'Neill. Seated alongside of me is Corey AITTA. Corey, welcome.
Thank you, Sean. It's good to be here. It looks like we have an exciting match coming up.
Yes, we've got Bob Chen on the near side playing out of the ICC club in Milpitas, and his opponent is Zhao Gaoxiang. We haven't seen him on the web stream, but quite a strong player playing out of Atlanta.
He actually, Sean, he's playing out of the Atlanta Institute, but he lives in New Jersey full time. He comes to our club quite often. Bob was at our club for 6 months, and I've played both these guys quite a bit. The forehand battle definitely goes to Zhao. The short game definitely goes to Bob. The experience definitely goes to Bob, but Zhao has been on fire. Earlier in the tournament, he beat one of Bob's teammates from Shandong Luneng. And so we'll see if Bob is on a little revenge tour here.
So clearly, Bob playing out of ICC, he'll have a little bit of the crowd advantage. Got a number of kids sitting up here in the stands wanting to cheer him on. And it looks like we're going to begin the match. Best of 7, again, men's singles quarterfinals. There are a number of other great matches occurring on live streams 2 and 3. So feel free to jump back and forth and watch all the action here, courtesy of the U.S. Olympic Committee.
You can see from the first point on, Zhao wants nothing to do with the short game with Bob at all. And Zhao is pretty much going to play everything with his forehand. He'll open like that with his backhand, but outside of that, he's gonna be turning a lot and using his forehand as an absolute bomb. And Bob's more of an even balanced player, really good feet.
Bob, it seems like when he plays off the table too, never really going for too much, just really nice control, heavy spin, heavy
spin on both sides. And you can hear it, Sean, when Bob hits the forehand, it doesn't have that loud crack sound that a lot of these guys have. It just kind of zips right off of his racket.
Just real nice controlled topspin. No matter what comes back, Bob able to overspin the ball.
One of his best qualities, Sean, Bob's best qualities is his balance. He's a really balanced player. You very rarely get Bob off balance.
So Corey, yesterday when we were watching U.S. team member Timothy Wong return serve, I noticed that he seemed to put his racket over the table. Bob was doing the exact same thing, so maybe when Timothy was playing out of ICC, that was one person who showed him.
Timothy's done that for a long time, though. For many years, even before Bob got there, that's always been Timmy's kind of trademark.
Ready position.
Yeah. It's been like that for a long time. I mean, ever since I started watching.
Right when I saw Bob do it, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's something that more Chinese coaches or more.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't see anybody outside of the Chinese doing it. Very rarely, and I think part of it is because the Chinese very rarely serve long. They almost never serve long.
Very good point.
So they're a little bit. They feel a little bit more confident starting like that. But you are, like you mentioned yesterday in the telecast we had yesterday, they are more susceptible to the long serve. And if you can land the serve real deep, you can kind of get them on their heels a little bit. And Zhao doesn't serve long almost ever. But maybe, yeah.
Very next serve.
Right on cue. Looks like I'm back to where I was at National, Sean. Yesterday I had a good day with calls, and today started out rough. 0 for 1 for Corey.
So Bob, as we were speaking about earlier, just so balanced in his attacks, really taking his time. Such a beautiful thing to see when a player isn't overhitting, but just building the point, using the different locations on the table to find a weakness. But very tight serves, so low.
Bob, in every facet of the word, if I could describe him in one word, it would be professional in everything he does. From the way he goes about practice to his physical workouts after practice is very, very professional. And it's very well thought out. He doesn't just mess around. Every point in practice is with a purpose.
I mean, that's such a great example that the kids at ICC are so fortunate to have, not only to have a great role model, but a world-class player who they can emulate, and hopefully that's a nice backhand of very strong qualities. Yeah, he moved in for that loop.
Yeah,
no panic.
His movement is better than anybody in the men's class for sure. He is the best mover. Not necessarily the fastest, but the best. He's very balanced all the time. You very, very rarely do you see Bob off balance.
Well, with the leg strength and the return to ready position after every shot, he's expecting the ball to come back, so therefore he's never going to knock himself out of the point. And again, having so many great Chinese players be part of the various full-time clubs that we have in the U.S. just really makes it tougher for U.S. players to win, but it allows them to stay home and get international experience in their backyard. So I know how the kids at ICC, they're beginning to increase their crowd size over here. They certainly want to see Bob continue in the men's singles. Ooh. Ball just got away from him a little bit. Right shot. Just amazing, Corey, to think we see a lot of Chinese in the U.S. Imagine if you were back in China. Every province, every club.
Yeah, full of guys like these two.
If you're not over 2750,
you're
what
nobody.
Are you doing? What are you doing there?
Yeah. Yeah. You're just waiting to go play at a club overseas somewhere. So competitive.
And if you're so fortunate to get a call that a U.S. club might be interested in having you come over, what an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, kind of short backswing on that one. And Zhao with the first game point.
I wouldn't be surprised if Bob starts to go to the reverse pendulum serve here soon.
Just to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Very strong block transition to counterattack. And Corey, you know who serve Bob reminds me of a little bit is the former world champion Wang Chen. Same type of...
It's funny you say that, Sean. I was waiting for between games to bring that up, but that's who Bob's favorite player is. He loves Wang Chen.
I mean, it's so tight and so nice and low, and he gets that first spin and then just is able to continue to put constant pressure.
Bob described Wang Chen to me. I said, why do you love him so much? He said, he's kind of a tortured soul. He always thought Wang Chen was always the best player. He just didn't win as many tournaments as people expected.
Oh, that was a little uncharacteristic there where he just kind of cut across his body. So Zhao, representing AITTA, takes game number 1 by a 2-point margin.
So right now, is the coaches in the background for Zhao is Wang Hui, and he's the head coach in Atlanta at the Atlanta International Table Tennis Academy, and in Bob's coach is 2014 U.S. Open Men's Champion Tao Wenjiang. They've been best friends for a long time, Sean. They grew up together. They played in Shandong Luneng together, and Bob originally came to the U.S. The year before Tao Wenjiang won the U.S. Open. He was up 3-0 against Eugene Wang and lost. And Bob wanted to come and revenge that loss for his friend, but he didn't get to.
That story was hanging right there.
So many have tried and so many have failed, and he's another victim.
Time.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Corey, but I believe Bob was in the finals of the North American Tour that was held in Westchester.
Yeah, and you know who he lost to, Sean?
Eugene Wong?
Eugene Wong for the second time. Both in 7 games.
We definitely miss not having Eugene here. He's been such a mainstay at the US Open over the last decade. But he will be in Canada at the Pan Am Games coming up in 2 weeks in Toronto.
Tactically, Sean, Bob has got to get into the backhand of Zhao. I cannot believe so far how many balls he's hitting to the Zhao forehand. He's not going to win that battle. No way. No way. He's got to find a way to get into the backhand. Off underspin, the Zhao backhand is pretty strong, but off topspin, it's not quite as strong.
Such soft hands on that redrop. Just seems, Corey, like Bob really doesn't win that many easy points. He's always working for it. He's always ready to loop 2 balls. That's a beautiful misdirection there. I should have stopped myself earlier with that comment because that one was pretty easy.
He made that look really easy.
Yeah,
he
read,
still won it on the 5th ball.
but finding the open court.
And there you see he went to the reverse pendulum. I think you're going to see a lot more of that because that's, for a lefty, that serve is going to be a lot harder to flip. And Bob's trying to force Zhao to play short with him. He doesn't want to let Zhao just flip and then play an open game. He wants to make him play short a little bit. So we're all knotted up here at 3.
Oh, just a tremendous combination. And the kids from the ICC like that one. Wow, that was impressive there.
Even Tao Wen-jung got off his feet for that one, Sean.
Some pretty extreme angles there by Zhao. Big lefty hook and fade.
Yeah.
But Bob running it down, keeping it
Yeah.
in play, never giving really an inch, making sure that Zhao earns the point. You notice, Corey, after that small pop-up, Zhao, instead of just going all out to flip kill it, placed it knowing that it's probably coming back, but with a slightly weaker return, just continue the positional advantage. So critical to know when to pull the trigger and when to continue to build off the opponents having to cover the entire court or maybe getting it into their body a little bit more. Very nice high toss serve down the line. Again,
8-7.
Bob Chen really controlling the openings, getting the ball out to Zhao's wide forehand.
8-7.
Ooh, that ball barely missed.
7-9.
One of the earlier shots appeared to have gone off the edge of the racket, but Bob able to return that one. And how similar does that serve look like Wang Li Chen when he tosses it up? I mean, almost
Yeah, it's almost
carbon
identical.
copy. Yeah.
I haven't seen Bob serve so much of the traditional pendulum. Usually he serves more reverse pendulum.
9-9.
And so quickly right after his serve, getting into ready position.
Yeah, you're not going to catch Bob off balance. That's you got to hit the ball awfully hard to get Bob off balance.
And he's really not going to give you a serve that you can do all that much
No,
with. I mean,
no.
that was Wang Li Chen's game, was like you couldn't do anything with his serve and you just make the first loop, and then it was a barrage of loops until the point's over.
Mhm.
Bob has that approach a little bit with a little more off the table. Oh, a big lucky break there
10-9.
for Zhao.
Came at the best time. But you're not going to see a turnover effect. Bob will be a professional, and he'll go battle this point.
Yeah, I don't think the edge is going to be on his mind as much as where he's going to return this serve to and try to get that first attack in. Again, the second time, Corey, both games ended on him crossing his body to try to do more of a whipping shot down the line than necessarily just one more spin. And I think that's going to be one of the challenges because of Zhao as a lefty. That forehand's going to appear to be open a lot more than it probably is, instead of just looping cross court and getting that sticking backhand block down the line.
Yeah, that time Zhao was kind of cheating to his forehand, and he came across his body and chop blocked it a little bit, and that's why Bob missed that one in the net. He didn't really account for the backspin on the chop block. But Zhao got two pretty fortunate points there
I
from
mean,
9-all.
12-10, 11-9.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if they played those last 2 points 100 times, I think Bob wins 98 of them, but he didn't
Yeah.
get these two.
Bob set up the rally, playing
Oh, he had him
His
dead in the
time-
water both
right.
times.
nice loops with just not necessarily defensive blocks, but where Bob would be comfortable looping multiple times, and each time right at the end, Bob went for an inside-out ball. This again is best of 7. Bob Chen near side playing out of
Third
ICC.
game, shot to serve, 0-0.
And Zhao playing for the Atlanta International Table Tennis Academy.
So spinny on that loop, Sean. See, you saw there, got Zhao Gaoxiang tried serving long, and Bob was just so balanced. He moved and put a heck of a spin on that ball. I'd like to see Bob do more of that with the reverse. Zhao Gaoxiang, he has not drop shot that serve successfully yet, and he's still sticking with the regular pendulum. Hopefully he sticks with the reverse.
0-4.
can see so far this game, Sean, Bob has really tightened everything up.
Right.
He changed his serve, and
this
his
is
returns
a
have been so tight.
must-win game. I mean, he can't afford to go down because at that point, Zhao can almost start going for a lot riskier shots and just really take the whole match out of tactics and just let's play bombs away and know that he's going to hit 3 or 4, and all of a sudden, so can expect Bob to continue this focused comeback. Oh.
6-1.
Again, though, with the reverse pendulum, he got the ball he wanted.
Yep. And able to take that ball in both directions as well. Caught the middle, unable to step around that final fished return. Wow. Or I should say Zhao. That was just like a inside out, go with the spin. That ball just hung up a little bit long.
Yeah, he served that one long on purpose. That's underspin too, Sean, that serve. And it's pretty heavy underspin.
And Zhao got away with a little soft, wristy opening. Still a lot of spin on it.
Yeah.
Second to third big edge that we've seen in this match.
And they always come at such an unbelievable time. 6-3 doesn't seem like a big point, but it's a big point. There's a big difference between 6-4 and 7-3.
Exactly. Those are, I've always thought of them as kind of a make or break. And now look at Bob hitting a little bit of a dry spell here after starting so brilliantly in game 3. Now is to start really paying attention to every single stroke. Wow. Looks like Bob's just become unplugged from a energy source. I don't think Corey will see Bob start rushing to force anything. But clearly, game 3 is back in play.
I was wondering if it got to 6-5, if Tao and Zhang was going to call a timeout, and I think maybe he thought a little bit too early for that.
As long as Bob... Oh, that was a great return off the flip. Oh, what a powerful loop. Off the bounce. Both these players know that their first attack, if they... And there it is.
Yeah.
It's going to also send a message to Zhao's corner. How concerned Bob's coach is with how things are proceeding. Just wanting to change the... If you look at the face, we're kind of chopping him off on the monitors a little bit. But there's a really big level of concern. Got a better angle here.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, Zhao is more so playing at the house's money. I mean, he escaped death this game. He was dead in the water. Bob kind of let him back in. Zhao hit some shots, but Bob missed some sitters. You know, Bob's missed a couple easy ones, and that's the combination of a little bit of luck and some sitters, and now we're at 7-7. So I think the timeout is not so much strategical as it is to just get Bob to focus on the end of the game and not think of where you were in the game and think of where you are in the game.
Remember yesterday, Corey, when we saw the match with Creason, where he was able to win a game easily after being up a number of points, 6 or 7-1. Zhao's not going to allow that to occur. He's going to play the whole game through and just force Bob to have to grind through to get his first game, while at the same time having one more chance to maybe get an edge.
Yeah, and yesterday the same thing in that same match. No, it was a different match where there was a big lead. I'll let you guys watch this point, and then I'll finish my story.
Oh, look at that shot. Zhao wasn't necessarily just guessing, but leaning in that direction, able to connect to the complete open court. And again,
I believe, Sean, we call the tennis term we use when people play like this is redlining.
this is just amazing. The number of winners that Zhao. Oh, that was a well-placed opening by Zhao. Bob trying to get his forehand in, just couldn't get around that last ball. And now really is facing an uphill climb to a game that he had so much control over. Things were just working like clockwork. And now, what a shift in momentum. I'm not even sure if Zhao can believe. He seems just played the bigger points a little bit better.
Yeah, and has hit some crazy shots too.
Oh, that ball. Oh, gosh. You can
What a
see the
mess.
frustration right there
Yeah.
on Bob Chen.
Yeah,
Just cannot believe.
we could be headed to blowoutville here in the fourth, Sean. Bob really made a mess of that game. I mean,
Just
he got every ball he wanted all game long.
and to top it off, the last one he had a sitter and launched it 4 feet off the end of the table.
Yeah, that was the third sitter he completely biffed that game. But my story I was telling at 8-7 was we saw yesterday one of the players had like a 9-1 lead. The player who had won, instead of giving up and conceding, it was the Romanian, not Krisan, it was Philemon in his match. And instead of giving up, he fought his butt back to 9-6 and forced the guy to use his timeout. So then the guy had no timeout the rest of the match. And so even though the guy ended up losing the game, he forced the guy to call his timeout, and that's why you don't give up.
Right.
Because then if you get on a run later on in the match, they have no way to stop it.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why you don't give up at any cost. You can always make it interesting enough to get something out of it.
That's a really good point, especially for our young players thinking that, well, I'll just change ends and they won't get to see my good serves. Well, you're not going to see their good serves either if you can't extend the games and keep the pressure on even when the score is a bit lopsided. That's just a really high quality reloop by Zhao. Seems to have a little bit more on the ball.
Yeah, and the
Then-
tactics aren't really right here either. I don't think Bob's really thinking straight right now.
This, I think, right now here, Corey, at 3-0, both in games and in the score, is a complete make-or-break point for Bob.
Yeah.
Loses it, I just don't see how he's going to change the momentum. And he finally gets a little bit of lady luck here in
Yeah.
Vegas with some
Yeah,
net cord ball.
not at the greatest time. You'd like it at a better time than down 3-0, 3-0, but take it nonetheless. That's a cool slow motion replay you guys got to see at home.
Just such a controlled loop.
Yeah.
Bob's not going to go for anything, and I believe that that's one of the things that Zhao has picked up on is that he can tee off on him every now and then. If he doesn't have the shot, maybe just block one or two, and if he's up at the table, that slight lefty advantage gets this balls out wide to Bob's forehand. That was a nice opening by Bob just to load it up. Just so calm.
Yeah, Bob's only chance really to get back in this match, Sean, is if Zhao comes back to planet Earth.
Bob can't afford those.
No,
Those,
no.
those are, that's a double whammy there.
Yeah. And you've got to force Zhao to make some blocks. His block is not a strength of his.
Almost seemed like on that one, Corey, that the serve was kind of half long. Bob trying to keep it short and catching that ball late. You don't have much angle over the net. Again, 2 big critical serves by Bob Chen. And there's just a really loose backhand.
Yeah.
Nice backhand flip by Zhao, but Bob able to get over to the forehand side to counterattack the flip. Now fighting for his life to get back in this 4th game.
These slow motion replays, Sean, are so cool. Great work by David Del Vecchio and his staff.
We're excited to have 3 live feeds for all the players, and we will have archived versions of these matches going up later after the event. So right now,
Bob is just not doing himself any favors. I mean, he plays some good points, but he has played so many points that are just bad. I don't have another word, Sean. Some of the points, I mean, it's really uncharacteristic of Bob I mean, we all have bad days, you know, but it's just sometimes unfortunate when your bad days happen on the biggest stage, and that seems to be what's kind of happened here. It's not that he's not warmed up. He just got done playing a mixed doubles final with U.S. Olympian and current U.S. teammate Lily Zhang.
why haven't we seen that served earlier in the match?
I've called for it in game 1. He has no answer for that serve. He's going to just push out. He can't drop it.
Oh, again. Oh, as we said earlier, here's the heavy topspin. Caught the net, able to keep it down. Another block, but low. And they're just lifting it off the end of the table. So once again, we're at 9-9, like we were in the first 2 games. So Bob able to get his first game point. Oh, what a solid block by Zhao.
Games one and 2, we saw Bob hitting the ball and getting ready. And that time he wasn't quite ready.
Well, anytime you're looping over the table, you're a little susceptible to a deep block. Going for the very aggressive.
What a time. It takes courage to do that, Sean.
And that ball was still so low. Over the table. Over the net. That was just juiced.
Man, you got to go win the game. That was kind of he just kind of laid up.
Right.
You know, he did. He just kind of laid it up there. And Zhao Gaoxiang, you lay a ball up to his forehand.
Right. With that
ball's
height
not
and-
coming back. Yeah, those leverage points, man, that ball, that's gone.
Nice half-long serve.
Yep.
Coming off the end, but breaking away.
That's-
Both righty-lefty always have that small issue as
Yeah.
that ball, if you have more side spin on it, often tough to get a clean contact. You want to take a smaller backswing. Now you see it the other way, and the same thing happens.
He's just being so courageous on his own serve, but Bob is. But on the return, he's not being very aggressive.
Yeah, just so passive to
Yeah.
try to keep it in play.
Yeah.
Again, a deep serve.
Oh, beautiful. If you guys are watching at home, you'll see right on this next ball, the crossover step. Yeah, that's beautiful. He did a really good job of keeping some distance on the crossover step between him and the ball there, Sean, where he could go either way.
And there's the aggressive service return.
Yeah.
So Bob Chen has kept his hopes alive here in Las Vegas at the Convention Center.
And Bob is the stronger player. Doesn't mean that he's going to win.
Exactly.
But he is the stronger player. So the longer the match goes, the more it kind of favors the stronger player. So we'll see what we got here in game 5. I'm glad I was wrong again. I'm 0 for 2 on my prediction of a blow. Although we were headed towards blowout though there, Sean. The first 3 points didn't look good. But Bob, the consummate professional, just battled all game long through the bad parts of the game.
And this time at the end of the game, that not just the crossover with footwork going across his body, he landed it.
Yep.
I mean, in the previous 2 games,
Yeah.
got caught on one and the other one kind of just biffed off the side of the table.
Yeah. I think one of the differences to why he was able to make that last one is the ball was a little higher,
Right.
so you can get away with that a little bit.
Had more time to turn. In the prior game, he was definitely jammed. So, and I'm sure Corey, starting this game, as long as Bob Chen keeps a little bit of a lead, the game count really won't come into play. It's just if Zhao is able to get a quick jump out, knowing that Bob Chen has already used his 1 timeout.
Yeah.
So Bob jumps on the board, only getting 1 out of the first 4 points, and Zhao has the opportunity to try maybe some more aggressive serves. And Zhao realizing how important each one of these points is. A nice combination of forehand, backhand loops, sending Chen out to the wide forehand. Oh. that isn't a sticking backhand.
That's redlining, Sean.
Just
I've seen Zhao play probably 30 matches. I don't think I've ever seen him hit that shot.
he just stuffed that ball
Yeah.
across court.
A little lefty version of current men's national champion Jim Butler, your doubles partner.
Yeah, but he took it from like down low.
Yeah.
So right now, again, how nice would it be for Bob Chen? And I'm not even sure from a timeout perspective, from looking at momentum, Bob has to do something right now. He's got to be able to.
I'm confused on the serve choice. He's got everything he wanted off the reverse. I don't understand.
I wonder if it's just how
Maybe
comfortable
he
is on that third and fourth ball.
But he primarily plays off of the reverse serve, so he should feel comfortable.
He got away with a half-long push there.
Really
Like,
indecisive, but
yeah, he didn't. And there's a timeout.
yeah. Coach Huey for the Atlanta International Table Tennis Academy calling a timeout before Bob Chen tied it up. So he's kind of realizing that if this gets to 3-2, now we have a match, and he's trying to kind of stop the momentum before we get to that point.
Definitely better to call it 5-4 than at 5-5 or 5-6.
Correct.
Hoping to create a little bit of a lead. Remember, during the timeout, you don't have to mention what might happen on the next point, but you can give an overall what's going to happen over the next 4 or 5 points, just to keep a bigger game plan going. Sometimes, Corey, I'll hear coaches give advice during deuce and they'll only talk about the ad, and then it goes back to deuce and the player's out there looking around thinking, what can I do? And
Yeah.
you really have to give some encouragement. Don't over coach, give them too many things to think about where they lose their single focus. But clearly, opportunity here for Zhao to open up and keep that initial 5th game lead. Nice tight return
Really
by Bob.
tight, really
Just
tight. That ball was so low.
low over the net, low to the end line.
Zhao couldn't, in the altitude here in Vegas, just could not get that ball up and down.
Yeah, couldn't bring it down, even though he spun the heck out of it. So Bob right back is changing his body position, starting from the center of the table. And was able to pull off just enough variation to get a forehand flipping error by Zhao. So Bob Chen now, it's like he's finding his keys and he's back in the driver's seat. Little positional serving advantage. Oh my gosh, that serve was...
Sean, I don't know if this is the case. I do know Zhao Gaoxiang is a little bit shy as a personality-wise. These stands have filled up, and I don't know if he's feeling it or not. But he has not been the same since all these fans kind of got into the arena.
Almost seems like Zhao has been waiting for this big final game surge by Bob Chen, and he's just waiting.
Yeah.
Nothing's really happening.
He's not active.
Right, and Bob isn't one to just throw caution to the wind, but he plays so...
Point in and point out.
Yeah, systematic, just takes his time. Look at that. Oh, good idea. However...
Rushed.
Again, if it gets to 8-all, 9-all, all of a sudden Zhao's going to be able to use that multi-game advantage to be able to swing pretty freely. once again, Bob just sending that ball.
Every time Bob gets some momentum in the match, man, he just makes a mess out of it.
And now Zhao with 2 match points. Bob Chen will be serving. I don't think it would be a stretch, Corey, to think that if the ball comes off the end of the table that Zhao is going to be loading that ball up.
No, I don't think you're going to be seeing any long stuff. And the net lands. That is a hell of a time for a net shot. Down match point.
Big rip catches the net. You can see the amount of wobble there.
Yeah.
And the ball just sprang over, giving Bob Chen
The net just wasn't ready for the match to be over.
one more opportunity to stay in this match. Oh, and you can hear the ICC crowd loving that shot.
All right, is Zhao going to be able to hold his nerve now after having 2 match points? One he lost out of his control, but one.
Again, well-placed lefty pendulum.
He's going to have to switch his receive tactics.
He's going to have to move more to the center so he's not reaching across his body so much. But again, another match point for Zhao. And Zhao takes the match. And he will enter the semifinals here at the U.S. Open with a great combination forehand and big backhand rip to the open court. And Bob Chen goes down in a series of 2-point differences here, losing the first, second by 2, winning third, or losing third, sorry, and then also deucing the 5th game.